Have you ever asked someone what their intentions were and they give you exactly the answer you wanted to hear? They said they cared about you. They said they were serious. They said they would never hurt you. They said you can trust me. And then, months later, you discovered something painful. Their words told you who they wanted you to believe they were. Their behavior eventually told you who they actually were. Here is something we don't talk about enough. If you ask someone a question where the correct answer is obvious, you may not learn very much about them. Now think about it. If you ask, are you an honest person? What do you expect them to say? Do you expect them to say, no, actually, I lie whenever it benefits me? Of course not. If you ask, would you ever intentionally hurt me? Most people know the socially acceptable answer. So, if you really want to understand someone's intentions, character, emotional maturity, and the way they approach relationships, you sometimes need to ask better questions. Questions where the answers isn't obvious. Questions that invite people to reveal how they think. But I want to make something very clear before we begin. These questions are not lie detectors. One unusual answer doesn't prove that someone is manipulative, dishonest, or dangerous. We are not diagnosing people. We are looking for patterns. Because discernment isn't about becoming suspicious of everyone. It's about learning to pay attention. So today, I'm going to give you 7 questions that can reveal much more about a person than they may realize they are revealing. And stay with me until the end because I am going to give you an 8th question. But the 8th question isn't for them. It's for you. Welcome to Thrive with Miriam. Let's begin. Question 1. What usually causes your relationship with people to end? Listen carefully. Not just to the story. Listen to how they position themselves inside the story. Everybody has experienced difficult people. Everybody has been misunderstood at some point. Everybody has encountered someone who treated them unfairly. So one bad relationship tells you very little. But if every story sounds like, my ex was crazy, my former friend was jealous, my boss hated me, my family is the problem, everybody eventually betrays me, I never did anything, pay attention. Because you are not simply listening to what happened in their past. You are listening for something deeper. Can this person see themselves clearly enough to acknowledge their own contribution to conflict? Emotional mature people can often say, I handled that badly. I stayed longer than I should have. I became defensive. I didn't communicate properly. I hurt them too. I've learned from it. That doesn't automatically make them a good person. But the ability to examine yourself honestly matters. Because if someone is incapable of seeing themselves as part of any problem, one day you may become the entire problem in their version of the story. So don't just ask what happened. Listen for, where are you in your own story? Question 2. What does loyalty mean to you? This sounds like a simple question, right? It isn't. 2 people can both say, loyalty is extremely important to me, and mean completely different things. To one person, loyalty means, I won't betray your trust. I will defend your dignity when you're not even in the room. I will be honest with you, even when the truth is uncomfortable. But to someone else, loyalty can quietly mean, you must always agree with me. You must choose me even when I am wrong. You shouldn't question me. You shouldn't have boundaries with me. If you love me, you'll prove it by doing what I want. Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference? One definition of loyalty is built around integrity. The other can become a demand for obedience. So when someone tells you they value loyalty, don't automatically be impressed. Find out what the word means to them. Because sometimes we think we share the same value simply because we use the same vocabulary. Same word, completely different definition. And the difference can cost you dearly. Question 3. Tell me about a time you realized you were wrong about someone. This question is powerful because you're listening for something many people overlook. Can this person change their mind when new information appears? Can they say, I judged that person too quickly. I misunderstood what was happening. I thought I knew their intentions, but I was wrong. I had to apologize. Why does this matter, you may ask? Because sooner or later, somebody close to you will misunderstand you. The question is, what happens then? Can they reconsider? Can they listen? Can they update their opinion? And once they've decided who you are, must reality bend around their conclusion? Be careful with people who need to be right more than they need to understand, because eventually you may find yourself endlessly defending yourself against a version of you that exists only in their mind. Healthy relationships require something deeper than love. They require the humility to say, Maybe I got this wrong. Question 4. What do you think someone owes you after you've helped them? Now we're going somewhere deeper, because not every gift is free. Not every favor is just a favor. And not every generous person gives without expectations. Sometimes generosity comes with an invisible invoice. They helped you. Now you owe them access. They supported you. Now you owe them agreement. They gave you something. Now you owe them loyalty forever. And sometimes you don't discover the price of someone's generosity until the day you say no. So listen carefully to how people talk about the people they've helped. Do they constantly keep score? I did all this for her, and look what she did. After everything I've done for him, how dare he tell me no? And again, context matters. It's perfectly human to feel hurt when care isn't reciprocated. But there is a difference between wanting mutuality and believing, because I gave you, I now own something in you. Real generosity doesn't purchase ownership, and healthy love doesn't create hidden debt. Question 5. What makes you lose respect for someone? This question can reveal a person's value system very quickly. Listen to what they despise. Is it dishonesty, cruelty, selfishness, irresponsibility, betrayal? Or do they lose respect for people because they are emotional, because they are poor, because they failed? Yeah, because they aren't useful anymore, because they disagreed, because they needed help, because they said no. Sometimes what a person contemptuously looks down on tells you as much about their character as what they admire. And here's the deeper question. What happens when you eventually become the thing they say they cannot respect? What happens when you are struggling? When you are no longer impressive? When you lose your job? When you make a mistake? When you are sick? When you can't give as much? When you disagree with them? You don't only want to know how someone treats you when you are at your best. Sometimes you need to know who they will become when you are no longer convenient to admire. Question 6. How do you usually respond when someone tells you no? Now, someone may give you the perfect answer. I respect people's boundaries. Great. Don't stop there. Watch. Because one of the most revealing moments in any relationship is when another person discovers that you are separate from them. You have your own mind. You have your own limits, your own voice, your own priorities, your own choices, your own no. Some people adore you while you are agreeable. They call you wonderful and humble while you are available. They call you caring while you are sacrificing. But the moment you establish a boundary, their vocabulary changes. Suddenly you are difficult, selfish, less humble, different, cold, ungrateful. And that's when you learn something important. Sometimes people don't miss the old you. They miss the access the old you give them. A healthy person doesn't have to enjoy your boundaries. They don't even have to agree with it, but they should be capable of recognizing that you are allowed to have one. So ask the question, but more importantly, watch what happens when the answer becomes real. Question 7. What would make you walk away from someone you love? Don't rush past their answer. This question can reveal what someone believes love should tolerate. Maybe they say repeated dishonesty, abuse, selfishness, betrayal, refusal to take responsibility, refusal to take accountability. Those answers tell you something, but listen carefully if the answer sounds more like, if they stopped doing what I needed, if they embarrassed me, if they choose something over me, if they stopped being the person I wanted them to be. Because underneath this question is another question. Does this person understand the difference between love and possession? Healthy love doesn't mean accepting everything. In fact, healthy love requires boundaries. Because sometimes people don't want a relationship with the person in front of them. They want a relationship with the role the person performs. The helper, the special access, the rescuer, the provider, the listener, the maid, the agreeable one, the person who never leaves. And the moment you stop performing that role, they say you've changed. Sometimes they are right. You have changed. You've stopped abandoning yourself to keep the relationship comfortable. That's not a bad thing. But here is the most important part. You could ask every one of these questions, and someone could still give you 7 beautiful answers. Perfect answers, emotionally intelligent answers. Answers that make you think, wow, this person really gets it. And they could still disappoint you. Why? Because language is cheap when behavior never has to support it. This brings us to the 8th question. And remember, you don't ask this one to them. You ask it to yourself. Question 8. Does the person they're describing with their words match the person I've experienced through their behavior? They say they value honesty. Are they honest when honesty costs them something? They say they respect boundaries. What happens when your boundaries inconveniences them? They say they believe in accountability, right? What happens when They are the one who needs to apologize. They say they are loyal. How do they speak about you when you're not useful to them? They say they've changed. Has the pattern changed? They say they love you. What does their love repeatedly produce in your life? Because here is something I want you to remember. You can learn a lot from someone's answers, but eventually, behavior becomes the eighth answer. And sometimes it's the clearest answer of all. Now, this is a deeper lesson. The purpose of these questions isn't to turn relationships into interrogations. Please don't sit next to someone tomorrow with a notebook and say, Miriam, give me 7 questions. Number 1. That's not the point. Let these questions emerge naturally through real conversations. And don't become obsessed with analyzing every pause, facial expression, or imperfect sentence. Human beings are complicated. People get nervous. People communicate badly. People make mistakes. One awkward response doesn't reveal someone's entire character. Patterns do, right? Time does. Consistency does. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do isn't expose someone. It isn't catch them. It isn't force them to confess. It isn't prove that your suspicions were correct. Sometimes wisdom simply says, I've seen enough to make a different decision. You don't need everybody to admit what they did before you are allowed to respond to what you repeatedly experienced. You don't need a confession to establish a boundary. You don't need someone to agree with your perception before you take your well-being seriously. And you don't need to win an argument before you walk away from patterns that keep hurting you. That is discernment, not paranoia, not revenge, not manipulation. Discernment. Ask good questions. Listen carefully. Give people room to reveal themselves. Watch what happens over time. And above all, don't let beautiful words repeatedly talk you out of what consistent behavior has already shown you. If this video made you think about someone differently, or perhaps made you think about yourself differently, tell me in the comments. Which of these 7 questions do you think reveal the most about a person? And if you are interested in understanding human behavior, recognizing unhealthy patterns, setting stronger boundaries, and learning how to respond without losing yourself, subscribe to Thrive with Miriam. Because in the next video, we are going deeper. We're going to talk about why calling someone out immediately can sometimes make it harder to understand the pattern you are dealing with and what to do instead. Until next time, listen to people's words, but study their patterns, because words can introduce you to someone. Patterns tell you who you've actually met. Take care.